بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, Allah gave us tawfiq to be alive in this month of Ramadan. We passed the 23rd night yesterday, and it was a time when we just wanted to give some encouragement to the brothers to spend this night in ibadah. Now, as we find ourselves on coming to the 24th night, there was one point that I wanted to bring up last night, but we left it till today. And that was concerning, it has its roots in how we got the information of Laylatul Qadr. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came out one day to give the news of when Laylatul Qadr would be, there were two people who were quarreling, who were arguing. And because of that, the knowledge of the night of when exactly Laylatul Qadr would be, this was removed, this was taken away. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with the intention of informing them, but this knowledge was taken away from him. So he said that perhaps it's better for you. So seek it on he told us on several nights to seek it on, amongst the odd nights of Ramadan. So we just wanted to mention the harms and disputes of, the harms of disputes and quarreling. That these are such things which remove barakah. They bring us harm as an ummah. So, as these discussions now, there's a lot of explanations coming about zakat and how things will be carried out during these times, in which where this pandemic is taking place. How are we going to do Eid Salat? What will happen with Eid Salat? So there's all sorts of takes going on. And of course, we are in a situation which is pretty much unprecedented for the vast majority of people who are alive today. The closest thing like this was the Spanish flu in 1918 to 1920. So likely most of the people who were alive during that time are not alive today. So in terms of the masail, this is like new territory for us. There's some basis, from the scholars of the past, but there's a lot of things that we are we're reassessing. We're going back and we're looking, how can we practice deen in this time? How has it been practiced historically? Honestly, speaking for myself, this is something that I had never imagined. I could never have imagined that there would be a time when we would actually be barred from the masajid. Something that I couldn't imagine. Not here in Canada. In other countries of the world, it's not inconceivable, but here, it is pretty inconceivable. So the first point was the harms of disputes and quarreling. Such an important knowledge was removed from this ummah because of this. And in other places, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has warned against, mutual hatred, amongst the Muslims. And he mentions that it removes, saying that he says that it is al-haliqa, is like that razor. And he says it does not remove hair. I'm not saying that it removes hair. I'm saying that it removes deen. So when there's these mutual, these disputes, mutual hatred amongst people who are practicing deen, then the end result is that it doesn't, no one becomes bigger. No one wins. Everybody loses. Everybody loses when we have this, this mutual hatred which is created amongst, in the ummah. So this is something that we cannot afford to do. We cannot afford to start, arguing with each other, and which creates a hatred in us. In terms of an academic debate, amongst the scholars, amongst the ulama. There has always been, weighing of the proofs, and each one presents his understanding of the proofs. And oftentimes, the parties will agree to disagree, but they will understand that they all came on the basis of establishing deen, from an authentic source. We have our different imams of fiqh. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahmatullah alayhi. They each came and each one derived his conclusions. Sometimes their conclusions, they coincided, and sometimes they were divergent. But this never created a hatred amongst them. Us as students, from the Hanafi school of thought, or who have done most of our work in the Hanafi school of thought, oftentimes we will read, and it is part of our curriculum to read from the Muwatta of Imam Malik. So we recognize him as our, one of our teachers, and from the chain, he's within our chain of our teachers. So we have great respect. Do we always agree with them? No. We follow the fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi. But we recognize that each and every one of these four imams, their conclusions are based on Quran and Sunnah. So although we disagree with the conclusion, it does not create a hatred in the heart. It does not create a hatred in the heart. The musallis who have prayed behind me, they're witness to this, that sometimes we will, we'll tell the brothers who are followers of the fiqh of Imam Malik, I'll tell them, brother, why don't you give us an adhan on the madhab of Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi. And of course, he's taking his opinion from Quran and Hadith, just as we take our opinion from Quran and Hadith. But there is a divergence. But that does not stop us from having respect for one another. So during this time, especially because we are in unprecedented times before for people like ourselves, these masail, the things that we are facing now, this is something that we have not faced before. So there will be different opinions coming up, and from scholars. Each one is trying to look and weigh and see what is the most appropriate thing. And opinions will diverge. But this should not cause us to have hatred to one another. It should not cause fights amongst each other. That's the absolute last thing that we want. Because barakah will be removed. The help of Allah will be taken away from this ummah when we do that. Agree to disagree. Respect, that's all right. But when this hatred starts coming into the heart, then that causes deen to be removed. And that is something we cannot afford. So that was the first point. Second point was that whatever Allah decides for us, there is some good in it. Whatever Allah decides for us, there is always some good in it. Allah had known that these people would be there and that they would be quarreling. But everything took place by the perfect plan of Allah. So today we are understanding that the help of Allah is removed when people argue, when people have disputes, when hatred is created in the hearts. So from this incident, we've taken that lesson. But at the same time, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in the same incident, he says, but perhaps it's better for you. Perhaps it's better for you that this knowledge has been taken away. So do not just be content worshipping on one night. Rather search for Laylatul Qadr on the odd nights. Do not just spend one night in ibadah, but spend the odd nights, and even if possible, the even nights in ibadah. But in this particular incident, he instructs us to seek it out on the odd nights. And there is good in it. Maybe we do not perceive it right away, but we will come to understand it down the line. We will understand it down the line. And how many times, Allah will close the door for us. Allah closes the door for us because He has destined a greater good for us down the line. One door towards some good that we thought was closed, But Allah had opened up a door for a greater good down the line, which we had not known. So had we had this complete knowledge, we would have recognized it, and there's a greater good waiting for us. So the iman of the believer is such that he knows that Allah has always destined some good for us. We have to find it. If we make sabr in the times of hardship, Allah will reward us on this sabr. When we make shukr on the times that we get what we want, Allah will reward us on that. So we do not have to complain. Rather, we should always look for the good that Allah has destined for us. And the believer should know that his knowledge is limited. Allah's knowledge is complete. So even though he might not see the good, but he should have yaqeen that if Allah is putting me in this situation, Allah has left a door of good open for me. There is a door which is present and a door of good. And if I am able to find it, then I will be able to elevate myself. And if not, well, that's not an option. We have to search out this door of goodness. For sure, Allah has kept it there. We have to search it out. We have to find it. And then, there is this point of striving to find the night of Laylatul Qadr. Look, it is our tendency that we become lazy. It is our nature. And once we feel like we've done what we have to do, then we get lazy, our energy, we deflate. We start taking it easy. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us to seek out Laylatul Qadr on these nights. So we should be striving. We should be pushing ourselves. As Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us to seek it out, do not just go on this this belief that, or on this understanding that people have that 27th night is the night. That's why you're going to see that sometimes 27th night is more packed than Eid Salat. People are packed in one, like sardines, because they think that this is Laylatul Qadr. It's a possible Laylatul Qadr, no doubt. There's a possibility. Laylatul Qadr will, inshallah, amongst the dates which we've been told to search it out, are the odd nights from the last 10 nights. So yes, the probability is high. But it can just as well be from the 21st, 23rd, 25th, 27th, 29th night. So we should be seeking it out, striving. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam informs us to strive for it. So we should make this effort as he instructed us. Not just be content, not just be, the word slips my mind. Qana'ah in Arabic. Complacent. We should not be complacent. Yes, we've got it, that's it. I'll keep working for it, and inshallah, Allah will reward us. And this is an exercise for ourselves. So, especially during this time, let's keep it, top of our list. Not to involve ourselves in disputes, in quarreling. Not to create this hatred for our Muslim brothers. Especially not for our Muslim brothers. Bring your proofs forward. If you agree, alhamdulillah. If you don't agree to disagree. And inshallah, people are doing what they can right now. Of course, we have our strong opinion, but that does not create any hatred in our hearts. So may Allah, replace whatever hatred that we have. Replace it with, with respect and with compassion for our Muslim brothers. Let us, come up and stand up as an ummah, on the deen, not compromising the deen, on the deen, but at the same time recognizing the scope for some amount of disagreement. Allah bring us all together under His arsh on the Day of Judgment as one united ummah. And just as we finish off, one last point that there were several of the brothers of the community who had family members who were sick who passed away. One of our respected community members, Uncle Humayun, his cousin passed away in Pakistan suddenly. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we make dua that Allah forgive him, Allah elevate his status, Allah bring him into Jannatul Firdaus without any reckoning. For the family he has left behind, may Allah give them sabr to deal with this hardship. And we give them we can never give a final judgment. Allah is the one who will judge finally. But the signs around the occurrence of a thing, give a hint, to how blessed it seems. And the fact that Allah took him during this blessed month of Ramadan, and what seems like on a Friday. So these are good signs. So the signs are, encouraging that inshallah Allah will, forgive him, and inshallah these are the 10 last nights, the night of, the days of Itq min an-nar, where Allah frees people from the fire. So inshallah we hope that Allah will save him from ever entering the fire and give him direct entry into Jannah. We have our community member, Uncle, Iftikhar Quraishi, who just had a heart attack. May Allah give him complete shifa, make things easy for him, return him to complete health, give him his strength back. And another one of our brothers, Brother Siddiq, his grandfather, had a stroke recently. And alhamdulillah, he's recovering. But may Allah give him complete recovery and give him, and if Allah is not destined that, but may Allah give afiyah to the family and use this as a means of, forgiving his sins and elevating his statuses so that he reaches Allah in a condition that, Allah brings him to such a level that his deeds could not have brought him. And inshallah, Allah give ease and afiyah to all of our brothers and sisters throughout the world, whatever hardships they're going through, whether it be of famine or whether it be oppression, whether it be, their lands and their belongings being taken away, whatever their hardships they are facing, may Allah give them afiyah, may Allah give them the highest rewards, may Allah give them ease, and may Allah give us tawfiq to use this time, this Ramadan, beneficially, and give us nearness to Him. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk, subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillah.